evening. Today is 28th of March 2026. On behalf of Geometric Tomato, I'm Blue Wave Lim, and this is Cool News Primetime. We are simulcast live on online radio box, V Radio app, A9.5 Manila SDR, KOOLTV, and Cool News via our Twitch and YouTube channels. Let's start the first minute news today. The Pinagkaisang Samahan ng mga Chuper at Operators Nationwide, or the Piston Group, along with the other progressive organizations, resumed its transport strikes amid recent oil price hikes this Friday due to the ongoing U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran, claiming that their day one strike affected 90% of Metro Manila's main transport. The group has marched through the streets of Mendiola as they demanded the government to address rising fuel prices and low driver earnings amid President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s decision to reject calls for fare increases. The protest comes as drivers continue to face their reduced daily income due to surge in fuel costs. The police were deployed to maintain order and have reminded participants to remain peaceful and orderly in demonstrations. The Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, warns that the electric prices are expected to go up higher than usual this season due to spikes in oil prices amid the Middle East conflict. Chairperson Francis Saturnino Juan said that the increased rates could reflect as early as April due to the increased shipping costs for oil, coal, and natural gas, which is used for power plants. According to the Independent Electricity Market Operator of the Philippines, they computed the increase could range from 2 to 4 pesos per kilowatt hour. Juan also added that the distribution facilities may need to implement staggered power rate increases should this continue. Acting Executive Secretary Ralph Recto has said that the shopping cart of school supplies, manpower, and facilities shall be procured and hired with no delay. In a press release, Recto has said that the Marcos administration will require agencies to submit regular progress reports so that progress areas can be troubleshooted immediately. He added that the move was pursuant to the president's directive to closely monitor every step of the acquisition chain. He also said some of the prioritizations are classrooms, teachers, and books. On the other hand, Recto said that the measures are being implemented to cure delays in classroom construction. The Economic and Development Council, chaired by President Marcos Jr., has approved the Department of Education's proposal for a free-term school calendar starting in school years 2026 to 2027. According to a statement, the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, or DepDev, made the approval during the Council's 8th meeting on Thursday, the 19th of March, describing the move as crucial for improving the country's educational outcomes. Although the proposal to 201 school days will be divided into 3 terms. The first term will run from June to September, followed by second term from September to December, and lastly, the third term from January till March, each consisting of continuous and structured lessons and tasks. The DepDev said that the trimester system aims to maximize learning time, which was often disrupted by typhoons, holidays, and observations. The House Committee on Justice has invited Vice President Sara Duterte to attend the hearing on the impeachment complaints filed against her, which was to be set on March 25th. The panel chair in Batangas 2nd District, Representative Jervil Luistro, extended the invitation in a letter to the Vice President. The impeachment was in reference to the 2 impeachment complaints which accuses VP Duterte of betrayal of public trust, violation of the Constitution, misuse of 612.5 million peso worth of confidential funds, alleged accumulation of unexplained wealth, and death threats against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his family. Duterte's lawyer, Attorney Michael Paua, has yet to discuss with the Vice President regarding her decision to attend the hearing. And here's a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. The northeast monsoon, or Himihan, continues to affect extreme northern Luzon, while the easterlies will affect the rest of the country, according to the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA. As of 4 p.m., PAGASA reported that the Caraga region, southern Leyte, and Davao Oriental will experience cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms caused by easterlies, with the possibility of flash floods or landslides due to moderate and heavy rains. Batangas and Babuyan Islands will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated light rains caused by Amihan without any significant impact. Meanwhile, Metro Manila and the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms caused by easterlies, with the possibility of flash floods and landslides during severe thunderstorms. Southern Luzon, besides and Mindanao, will experience light to moderate winds from the east to the north, while the rest of Luzon will experience light to moderate winds from the east to the northeast. The maximum temperature was recorded at 31 degrees Celsius at 2 p.m. and the lowest at 20.8 degrees Celsius at 6 a.m. Coming up next. Coming up next, trials of Israel polling strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure. Don't go anywhere. Cool News Primetime will return after these messages.
Have you ever tried delicious French toast and freshly baked bread? If not, don't worry. You can find them here at Charms Pastry and Bakery. Made with high-quality wheat flour, fresh eggs, and rich maple syrup, every bite is made to satisfy everyone's cravings. And the best part? You can enjoy all of these wherever you are at a very affordable price. So come and visit us today at Charms Pastry and Bakery, where every bite is simply lovely.
Mula sa ginadgad na coconut, gumawa ng masarap na crackers na may lasa ng coconut. Magamyon Coconut Crackers. Pwede itong kainin kahit saan at kailanman. Kamyon Coconut Crackers. Feel the sweetness of coconut.
Hi guys! Init na init ng panahon. Mapapagod pa pagkatapos maglaro ng basketball. Iniisip niya ano-anong dapat na inumin ito. Eto na lang, uminom ng Sinsis Lime, ang soda drink na may lasa ng lime para ma-refresh ang iyong lalamunan at ang iyong katawan. Fresh, di ba? Sinsis Lime, nakaka-fresh talaga to.
You're watching Cool News Primetime. You're watching Cool News Primetime. U.S. President Donald Trump has told Israel not to repeat attacks on Iranian natural gas infrastructure as strikes on energy plants cause spiraling prices. Trump's comment came as energy price surged on Thursday after Iran's attack on Ras Laffan industrial city in Qatar as a response over an Israeli attack on Iran's major gas field. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has confirmed Trump's request. He also added that Israel acted alone in its attacks in the Iranian gas field. Trump said he has no plans to deploy ground forces on Iranian soil. Social weather stations has found that 33% among 1,200 adults polled in November of 2025 said that they were very happy, while 50% said that they were very happy. For life satisfaction, only 28% said that they were very satisfied with their life. 51% said that they were very satisfied. 14% said not very satisfied, and 7% said not at all satisfied. Visayas was recorded as the happiest region by 40%, followed by Mindanao by 34%. Zone areas outside Metro Manila at 32%, and the lowest share came from Metro Manila at 24%. Dubai labor attaché John Rio Bautista warned overseas Filipino workers to not fall for scams, promising repatriation in exchange of a fee. Bautista said he learned about scam activities from reports of individuals wanting to verify the offer to the migrant workers' office in Dubai. The scam operates through messaging where scammers ask for a fee to save one of the remaining seats on the plane. The advisory urges OFWs to avoid transactions with unauthorized individuals, agents, or social media accounts claiming to facilitate repatriation services. Affected individuals can contact the Dubai consulate via the information shown on the screen. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. assured the public that food supply in the country is sufficient amid the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, noting that the manufacturers agreed to help keep prices steady for as long as they can. The president made the remark following his visit at the distribution center of a food company in Calamba. He also assured that the Philippines is looking for alternate fuel sources amid surging skyrocketing fuel price highs in the past weeks due to the ongoing conflict in Iran and Middle East. President Marcos Jr. had assured that everything is normal and there is no reason to hoard for food products. The government will continue to monitor the food supply as well as its prices amid the ongoing tension. After 6 years of delays, a 60-meter bypass road connecting Mabalacat City, Pampanga to the North Luzon Expressway by the Santa Ines exit was officially opened to motorists this Friday. Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Vince Dizon led the inauguration alongside provincial and local officials. Despite the occasion, Dizon said that the completion of the project was not a reason to celebrate. The bypass road is expected to help decongest traffic along MacArthur Highway in the proper city of Mabalacat. It also aims to provide motorists with alternate route to northern Luzon destinations such as Baguio City. Dizon claimed that the 6-year delay was caused primarily by disagreements over the project design and poor coordination by the former DPWH officials. Pampanga Governor Lilia Pineda hopes for a proper coordination for the future DPWH projects, suggesting that local officials should be given the chance to monitor projects from the beginning to avoid similar delays. Tributes for journalist, editor, and author Joel Pablo Sulu after he passed away at the age of 62 from a mild heart attack. For 11 years, Salud worked as the editor-in-chief for the Philippines Graphic Magazine, the longest running national print magazine since 1927. He also worked for several publications, including Rappler, the Philippine Star, the Manila Times, Manila Standard, and the now defunct Philippines Free Press. He was also known as an author for several books such as The Blood Republic, The Distance of Violence and Other Tragedies, Journalist in the Other Newsroom Introspections, and other works. His family is set to announce his wake and funeral arrangements. We here at Cool News send condolences to the family of the late journalist. And that's all for our headlines today. Stay tuned to Cool News and TGON Cool FM for the latest updates. On behalf of Geometric Tomato, I'm Blue Wave Lim. Good evening. The time is now 10 o'clock in the evening.